Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another Logan Blackman Show YouTube channel. And this is a little different idea than what we've done in previous years and previous videos and stuff like that. I mean, I guess it's somewhat similar to the ranking video that we did a few weeks ago, where it was the ranking every single quarterback class over the past 20 years from this past year all the way back to 2004. This is a little different than that, because this is just going to be my opinions on the entire matter. There's no like point tally system. There's no what ranks above which in each category and stuff like that, what weighs more. But I do hope you enjoy the video. But before we get into anything, let's make sure to go over the housekeeping items first. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description below. We got all the different social media accounts. Make sure to check out the podcast YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that down below, as well as the Apple Podcast and Spotify accounts. Make sure to check out Mock Draft 3.0. That came out last week, so I'd greatly appreciate if you went and go check that out. But this video will be talking about the draft, because we are less than 2 weeks away from the 2024 NFL Draft, which is still insane to think about. It doesn't feel like that long ago where we watched Ohio State beat Notre Dame in the national championship game, or the Eagles beating the piss out of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like, it doesn't feel that long ago when those things were taking place, and we are less than, again, 2 weeks from the NFL Draft. That's absolutely crazy. I don't know about you. I guess I can't speak for everybody out there, but for me, that's crazy. So for this video, I'm going to look at the past 10 drafts. So 2024 all the way back to 2015. I know that the numbers don't add up there, but that's 10 drafts. That's 10 drafts in there. And I want to go through each of the top 10 selections. So each person taken at number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on, and find out who the best player taken at the position over the past 10 years was and who the worst is. And again, this is my opinion. There's no point tally system in place here, so you can disagree with me. Feel free to disagree with me and all that stuff, because I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, especially with this first one, which is the number 1 overall pick. So if we look back at the history of the past 10 years, from the players who were taken number 1 overall, we would have the likes of Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Trayvon Walker, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett, Jared Goff, and Jameis Winston. Now, again, this one will divide a lot of opinions here, because there's a lot of variables that take place with the number 1 overall pick. And in these types of lists, how much do you take into play, like how long a player has been good or bad for? Like, do you go like, well, this guy's rookie season was really bad, so I'm going to put him as the worst number 1 draft pick of all time, or this guy's rookie season was the greatest rookie season I've ever seen, so do you put him at number 1? But for this situation, at the best number 1 pick over the past decade, again, I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, and by that I think you all know which direction I'm going here. I'm going to go with Myles Garrett over Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was really the only other one that I was in consideration here for. And the reason I went with Myles Garrett is, like, he's just Mr. Consistent. Like, over the past 4 seasons for Myles Garrett, he has 14 or more sacks. 2 seasons where he had 16 sacks. He's an AP Defensive Player of the Year in there as well. He's a 4-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro. Widely considered, next to likes of TJ Watt and Micah Parsons, and player of that ilk, of being the best edge rusher in football. Now, Joe Burrow, this is why it's controversial, because Joe Burrow's a quarterback, and quarterback's the most important position on the football field. So if a quarterback was taken number 1 overall and they are one of the best in the league, you would think that that would be the best number 1 overall pick over the past decade. But this is no, like, I'm not trying to downplay anything Joe Burrow has done, because again, he's made a Super Bowl, he's made 2 conference championship games, which I forgot about in the ranking video for the draft class, which was brought to me down in the comments, so I appreciate that. So get down in the comments and let me know how wrong this thing is. But he just led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns this last year. It has nothing to do with how good or bad Joe Burrow is. Joe Burrow is great. Joe Burrow is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I think he's got that spot at number 4 locked up behind Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar Jackson. I think he's set there at number 4. Like, Myles Garrett, I just think is the model of consistency. Never misses time, barring the time where he tried to take Mason Rudolph's life. Apart from that, he doesn't really miss a lot of time. Joe Burrow's battled injuries throughout the course of his career. The Bengals missed the playoffs this past year, which again is going to be different viewed from a quarterback standpoint than a defensive end standpoint. I'm not saying that's why Joe Burrow's out, because the Bengals have missed the playoffs. I'm not saying that at all. I just think Myles Garrett is a guaranteed bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer. Joe Burrow, I think, will make the Hall of Fame. I think there could be a case when Joe Burrow is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but at this point in time, can we say he's a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer? I think Myles Garrett is that. I could be wrong. You could disagree with me in that. Joe Burrow's credentials for the Hall of Fame and stuff, I think he will go. I think eventually be a first ballot Hall of Fame guy, but right now I'm not going to sit here and say that. So Myles Garrett's number 1 for the greatest number 1 pick in the past 10 years, and the worst one, this one's going to ruffle some feathers as well, because you could look at the likes of Bryce Young, who really struggled in this first year in Carolina. We saw him play really well the back half of last season, but there were people talking about it was the worst trade in NFL history when the Carolina Panthers traded up from 9-1 to draft Bryce Young. The Bears obviously took Caleb Williams, who had a very up and down rookie year, but for the most part, I would say Caleb Williams had a very solid rookie year. It wasn't like fantastic, like world beating or anything like that. And when you compare to like of Jaden Daniels in that class as well, it's not going to be like, oh, we took the wrong guys. Like, no, just give it time. Those are the guys I'm not talking about those guys being the worst. Travon Walker I saw getting talked about in this conversation as well because he's not Aiden Hutchinson. That's the same thing kind of that Caleb Williams has fallen into. Like, Jaden Daniels had such a good rookie year, so now we need to say Caleb Williams is not worth the number 1 overall pick. He was, and he will be in time. And Travon Walker is a very, very good player in the NFL. He might not be a top 5 edge rusher in the league, but he's no scrub by any stretch of the imagination. Travon Walker is a very, very good edge rusher. So the person I'm going to have here as my number 1 for the worst number 1 overall pick in the past 10 years, I'm going to have Jameis Winston. And that might be a little bit harsh here, but Jameis throughout his career is more known for like the quotes and stuff rather than what he actually does on the football field. Like his most notable contribution to NFL lore is the 30 for 30 season. Like the NFL's official YouTube channel posted the highlights from that 30-30 season. Like it has its own YouTube video. Like that is an absolutely insane season. Yes, he led the league in passing yards, but as Bruce Arians said, they were losing damn near every game, so they had to throw the ball a shit ton. It's not like they were up and Jameis Winston was just lighting people up. No, they were losing, so they just needed to throw the ball a crap ton. And Jameis Winston, Heisman Trophy winner and stuff like that, was the youngest Heisman Trophy winner ever, was the second freshman to ever win it behind Johnny Manziel. And he's a fun player. Everybody loves Jameis Winston. You always want to know what he's going to say, like whether it's a rhyme or he's got some quote to say. Like he talked about in his New York Giants opening press conference that he wants more giggles. I never thought I'd hear an NFL quarterback say the word giggles in a press conference. And this, again, Jameis Winston is not a horrific player by any means, but for this category, I think it's too early to say on Bryce Young, because I know a lot of people probably say Bryce Young in here, but because of how he played that back half of last season, I'm still going to give him time on that. But Jameis Winston, he was the number 1 overall pick in 2015. He's the first guy we can talk about in this category. So I'm going to have him as the worst one. That might be a little harsh. I do apologize because you got a lot of fans out there. And I like Jameis Winston, but he's going to be the worst one here. So number 1 is Myles Garrett's the best, Jameis Winston the worst. The second overall pick, this one's very interesting because there's a lot of good players that are available for selection here at the second overall spot. Like last year, you had Jaden Daniels, you have CJ Stroud, Aiden Hutchinson, who we brought up before, Zach Wilson, Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Saquon Barkley, Mitchell Trubisky, Carson Wentz, and Marcus Mariota. Again, there's a lot of options here. A lot of options. There's some good players in here. Like, you look at the likes of Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud. At the times of their rookie seasons, people are talking about them having the greatest rookie seasons of all time. You look at the expectations placed on CJ Stroud going into that season with the Texans and what their season was projected to be, to go from not only winning the division title, but winning a playoff game and making it to the divisional round of the playoffs. That's damn impressive. Then Jaden Daniels in his rookie season gets the Commanders to the NFC Championship game, walks away with Rookie of the Year and all that stuff. Those two guys have very good credentials for this. Nick Bosa is one of the best edge rushers in the league and has been one of the best edge rushers in the league for the past however many seasons now. Aiden Hutchinson, prior to him breaking this leg this past year, was one of the best edge rushers in football this past year. But I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. It's hard not to. I mean, the injuries are a big thing for the early portion of his career, and that's why a lot of people would point to why the Giants didn't re-sign him or like give him the extension over Daniel Jones, but that's still stupid. That is still so stupid that they didn't give him the extension or the big contract over Daniel Jones, because you look what he did in Philly. Now, this might be controversial. I don't think he's touching Eric Dickerson's record if he's still playing for the Giants behind that trash-ass offensive line. That has nothing to do with how good Saquon Barkley is, because we've seen Saquon Barkley dominate throughout his time with the Giants when he's healthy. Like in his rookie season with the Giants, he set a new NFL rookie record for most 100-yard games, 100-plus yard games in a season with 12. He also had the most 50-plus touchdowns in a rookie season as well, jointly with Randy Moss. He also had the most receptions by a rookie running back with 91. This past year was the NFL AP Offensive Player of the Year, 100 yards away from Eric Dickerson's single-season record. And he probably would have had that in the first half had they actually played him in that last game of the regular season. But he broke the NFL record for most scrimmage yards in a single season, including the playoffs. Like, Saquon Barkley went absolutely supernova this past year. And everybody knows he's a good running back. Everybody knows how great of a player he is. But to see the season that he had in Philadelphia, it's damn impressive. It's damn impressive. So I'm going to have him as the best number 2 overall draft pick, in this decade. And the worst one, it's Zach Wilson. Like, Mitch Trubisky was a conversation piece in this one as well. Zach Wilson, at the time, it was just seen as like a little bit of a head-scratching move because I don't think anybody benefited from COVID ball more than Zach Wilson. That BYU team, they were fun. They were fun, but they were an independent school at the time. They weren't in the Big 12. So everybody pretty much said no to non-conference games. So BYU was kind of just scrambling a schedule together, and they did really, really well. Zach Wilson made some ridiculous plays throughout that season, and in his pro day, made the now famous or infamous throw that every single quarterback seemingly has to make. the rolling out to the left, throwing across the body throw. Like, throw was so notable that the 49ers traded up from 12 to 3 right after that. And Zach Wilson, the new regime that came in was replacing Sam Darnold. If you look at Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson's tenure with the Jets, Zach Wilson was not better in any stretch of the imagination. Sam Darnold was not a better option than Sam Darnold in there. And there was like, we're overthinking this a little bit because the Justin Fields thing. Now, Justin Fields has not had the greatest career up to this point. He's had a solid career, way better than Zach Wilson's, but it's like, are we overthinking this a little bit? And then the whole Zach Wilson thing with like, do you feel any responsibility for how your offense performed today? And he just straight up said no.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No.
And it's like, well, you're the starting quarterback of an NFL franchise. It's I when we lose, it's we when we win. Like, it doesn't matter if you're actually at fault here. You're the starting quarterback. You have to say that was your fault. It doesn't matter. And he got benched right after that. We saw him get benched for Mike White. Chris Streveler came in and they benched Zach Wilson for it. Like, that is that is the biggest indictment on there, that Chris Streveler is coming in and benching a former number 2 overall pick. This dude was up in Canada with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he's coming in to play an NFL game. He had a terrible I don't remember who it was against. It was like a Thursday night football game or something. He threw an ugly completion. The whole crowd gave him a standing ovation. It could have been a walk-in touchdown had it been in stride, but he threw it behind the receiver. It was just a mess. The Zach Wilson experiment in New Jersey was a mess, and he easily goes down as the worst number 2 pick in the last decade. The number 3 overall pick, this one I don't want to say struggled with, but I felt like this is the pick that had the least amount of like top tier choices, if that makes sense, out of the first 3 picks that we've now talked about. Like, in this number 3 position, we have the likes of Drake May, we have Will Anderson, Derek Stingley, back-to-back Texans guys, Trey Lance, Jeff Okudah, Quinnen Williams, Sam Darnold, Solomon Thomas, Joey Bosa, and Dante Fowler. Now, Quinnen Williams could have made a really good conversation piece here. Sam Darnold, with the resurgence that he had last year, could have been in the conversation here, but not realistically at this point. So I went with Joey Bosa. The injuries are the big thing with Joey Bosa in this. If he could actually stay healthy, he is one of the best edge rushers in football. And I'm praying that he stays healthy for the Bills this next season, because the Bills need some more firepower coming off the edge, I guess you could say. But he was the defensive rookie of the year. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He has 4 seasons of 10 plus sacks. He had 12.5 sacks in 2017. Again, the injuries are the big concern here. So if you wanted to put Quinnen Williams on here, I would completely understand that, as he's one of the most dominating interior defensive linemen in football. But I just think Joey Bosa, at his peak, is the best player out of these number 3 overall picks. I think Drake May could get to that point. Derek Stingley is a very, very good player for the Houston Texans, but I'm going to go with Joey Bosa here for the time being as the best 3rd overall pick. And the worst one, this one doesn't really take much brain thought here. It's Trey Lance. I feel so bad for Trey Lance. I really do. Like, Kyle Shanahan was very vocal about wanting Mac Jones. He wanted Mac Jones. The 49ers organization, led by John Lynch, were like, well, hey, Trey Lance has the athletic ceiling and the athletic tools to raise above what Jimmy Garoppolo is. Like, if you draft Mac Jones, is he going to be able to pass what Jimmy Garoppolo was? Kyle Shanahan doesn't care about that. He wants a guy that can throw the ball from point A to point B and not do anything stupid. And Trey Lance, let me talk about the COVID ball thing with Zach Wilson. The FCS canceled their entire fall season and pushed to the spring. So right before the draft, Trey Lance played one singular game, I think against Abilene Christian or Central Arkansas, I can't remember, but he played one game the year prior to the draft. That's not great. He had no playing time. And then he goes in the season, they're playing Jimmy Garoppolo. He had a couple starts in the back half of that season. He goes in the next season as the starter, plays in a monsoon his first game against the Chicago Bears, and then snaps his ankle against the Seahawks in week 2. It was just never going to work. It was never going to work. And he was a beast at North Dakota State the first year, like 2,800 yards passing, over 1,000 yards rushing, 0 interceptions, national championship, and all that stuff. Like, the ceiling was so high, but everybody was acknowledging that the floor was so low as well. And right now we are at that low point to where they traded him to the Cowboys, and we saw him in that preseason game against the Rams. Like, damn, what is going on? And now he's signed with the Chargers. He's still young, so maybe there's a chance of a somewhat resurgence. I highly doubt it at this point in time, but Man, that one sucked because I was rooting for him when he got drafted. To see where his career has gone, it just sucks to see that. But moving on to the 4th overall pick in the draft, some of the options that we have at this selection are Marvin Harrison Jr., Anthony Richardson, Ahmad Gardner, Kyle Pitts, Andrew Thomas, Cleveland Farrell, Denzel Burke, Leonard Fournette, Zeke, and Amari Cooper. This one, I didn't really like the selections here. I really wanted to pick Denzel Burke here. I really did. But given the fact that Ahmad Gardner, I'm not calling him Sauce. He got the name removed from this past season. He's not Sauce right now. But it's really young in his career at this point in time. But he was a defensive rookie of the year, and already up to this point, he has 2 first-team All-Pro selections. Like, that's a really good resume at this point in time for your career being so young. And everybody's going to point to him and talk about where the flaws are in his game. But the start of his career has been really damn impressive. He might not have had that same season that he's had previously this past year with the Jets, but who on that Jets team really had the season that anybody was expecting from him this past time out? Like, we were talking about them going deep in the playoffs, potentially making a Super Bowl, and they missed the playoffs. They get rid of Aaron Rodgers, they get rid of their head coach, they get rid of their GM, and now we're starting all over again. So we'll see if Ahmad Gardner's able to get his sauce back under Aaron Glenn this next season. But at this pick, not really sport for choice here, but I think Amari Cooper had a really good shout in there as well. Denzel Burke, we brought before. Playoff Lenny, maybe you want to talk about him. Zeke had a very good start to his career, but he just dipped tremendously after that. But the worst one here, I don't really think there's a big conversation piece here. It's Cleveland Farrell. That pick was shocking at the time, and as the years go on, it's more and more shocking that Cleveland Farrell was the 4th overall pick in the draft, especially with Josh Hines-Allen being available to take right there, who is still on the team that drafted him in Jacksonville. Now, this is kind of like the Trey Lance situation where it doesn't look as bad because you got Max Crosby. Like, the 49ers don't get talked about as bad because they got Brock Purdy. So it doesn't look as bad. And then they got roundabout way, they got Mac Jones. So it all worked out in the end, I guess. But Cleveland Farrell, this was like everybody thought going into the draft that he would go somewhere in the mid to early 20s or the 2nd round. 4th overall pick was crazy. I know the Raiders are like this big overthinking team that like overdraft players all the time. Like, you could go throughout the history of recent years with the Vegas Raiders, or the Oakland Raiders, the LA Raiders, Vegas Raiders, doesn't matter. They love doing it, especially in the Gruden Mayock era. They were very good at overdrafting players. Now, they did get Josh Jacobs later in this first round, so that was a nice pick. Apart from that, Cleveland Farrell, man, like, I think he's on his 3rd or 4th team up to this point in his career. But, like, you look at his career high in sacks, he has 4.5 sacks. That is a career high, and that was his rookie season. And since then, he started 57 games. But if you look back and just like, Josh Hines-Allen was there, Ed Oliver was there. Like, you had other options there. And to take Cleveland Farrell, who was a part of a really good Clemson defensive line with Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence, but no one thought he was the best player on that defensive line. So taking him at 4th is still a crazy pick to see. But yeah, he comes in as the worst 4th overall pick over the past 10 years. The 5th overall pick, I didn't struggle a lot picking the best one. The worst one I did kind of struggle with, but some of the options for the 5th overall pick this past year, we had Joe Alt, we had Devon Witherspoon, we had Kayvon Thibodeau, Jamar Chase, Tua, Devin White, Bradley Chubb, Corey Davis, Jalen Ramsey, and Brandon Scherf. Good options. Like, Jalen Ramsey has been one of the better cornerbacks in the league ever since he stepped foot on the field. Scherf has been one of the best guards in the NFL since getting drafted 5th overall by Washington, but the number one guy here is Jamar Chase. Like, the Triple Crown winner, now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL league history. Like, this dude's just the guy. And it was kind of one of those situations where people are kind of overthinking it a little bit as well, where it was like, oh, we didn't see him play. But if you remember back to the year before when he was on the 2019 LSU Tigers team that just ran shit and went undefeated and won a national championship game with Justin Jefferson, he was the number one guy in that receiving room. Like, he was that dude at LSU. So there was a little bit of like hesitancy around him and going into the draft process, because especially since we saw Devontae Smith just win the Heisman Trophy and all that, and the Bengals were like, oh, we need offensive line help. Penei Sewell's right there. But Jamar Chase, with that chemistry that he had with Joe Burrow and seeing how he's developed up to this point in the NFL, crazy pick. Great pick. Jamar Chase is one of the best players in the NFL, not just receivers. He's one of the best overall players in the NFL and more than deserving of the contract that he got. But it's still a very interesting talking point between the him and T. Higgins discussion around like, what are they going to do on the defensive side of the ball? But Jamar Chase was not the guy we were worried about in regards to the contract situation. But the worst one, I'm going to stick with a wide receiver here, and I feel mean for doing this, but I'm going to go with Corey Davis from Western Michigan. He was the first overall receiver taken in that year's draft. And I know he went to Western Michigan, but if you have 3 straight seasons of 1,400 plus yards, you're gonna be looked at as one of the top prospects in the draft. I believe he was also coming in with an injury, which wasn't great for him as well, but still, 5th overall draft pick. And again, like we brought up before, he was the first receiver taken in the draft. And this is a class that had the likes of Mike Williams, Curtis Samuel, Juju Smith-Schuster, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Kenny Galladay, and Mac Hollins. And he's never gotten over 1,000 yards in his career. Now, he should have had over 1,000 yards at least one of his seasons in the NFL, but unfortunately in 2020, he only played 14 games. Yeah, he's never done that. They drafted A.J. Brown a couple years later. A.J. Brown supplanted him on the depth chart. He ended up going to the Jets. I believe he's retired now, so that's its own thing. But yeah, Corey Davis comes in as the worst fifth overall pick in recent draft memory. And the 6th overall pick, I did struggle with this one. I kind of overthought it a little bit to a certain extent. At least I started to overthink about it when I first was looking at the 6th overall picks. And some of those players are Malik Neighbors, Paris Johnson Jr., Ekim Ekwonu, Jalen Waddle, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, Quentin Nelson, Jamal Adams, Ronnie Stanley, and Leonard Williams. Like, this is a good group of players right here. And again, I struggled kind of. Like, originally when I was filling this thing out, I did have Justin Herbert. But then when I actually thought about it, I was like, it's Quentin Nelson. It just is Quentin Nelson. As much as I like Justin Herbert and think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, it just is Quentin Nelson. Like, so far in his career, Quentin Nelson's made 7 Pro Bowls. He's been in the league for 7 years. Every single year he's been in the league, he has made a Pro Bowl. And then not only that, he is one of only 5 players in NFL history to make an All-Pro team each of their first 3 seasons in the NFL. And the players he's joined with are Earl Campbell, Keith Jackson, Barry Sanders, and Lawrence Taylor. And if you look at like the pantheon of greats at each specific position, like Barry Sanders might go down, it might be the greatest running back of all time, depending on who you ask. Lawrence Taylor might be the greatest defensive player of all time. Like, Quentin Nelson put himself in unparalleled territory by the start of his career. Like, he's just an insane player. He just is. And as much as I like Andrew Luck, I do like Andrew Luck, but as much as I like Justin Herbert, it's hard not to look at what Quentin Nelson has done, stepping into the league and instantly being the best guard in the league. That's pretty damn impressive thing to do. The worst overall pick, or worst 6th overall pick, sorry, I don't know. It feels weird because he got a big contract, but Daniel Jones, the 4-year, $160 million contract, giving him money over Saquon Barkley. Yes, you want to go you think you want to pay the quarterback before paying the running back, unless said quarterback is Daniel Jones and said running back Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones had one good season, really, in New Jersey with the Giants. He had one good playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, and Ed Donatel is solely responsible for Daniel Jones getting that contract. We were a couple years into the contract, and he got cut. And he went to the Minnesota Vikings. He got cut during the season. Now, he basically said, just cut me. But so they obliged, and he went to the Vikings. Now he's down with the Indianapolis Colts. He could get some playing time this year, depending on how long the leash is for Anthony Richardson in regards to how long they could view him as the starting quarterback before he starts frustrating them again. If he does, who knows? I'm rooting for Anthony Richardson, so I want him to do well. But ironically, this is the same year as the Clelin Ferrell pick, and at the time, everybody freaked out. Because remember, Dwayne Haskins was also in this draft, and everybody was talking about how insane of a season Dwayne Haskins had at Ohio State in his his first season at Ohio State as the starter, breaking all Big Ten passing records pretty much. And Daniel Jones, coming from Duke, didn't really have the same notoriety or the same eyes on him as Dwayne Haskins did, but the connection to the Mannings was key. Eli Manning was still there. Cutcliffe was the head coach at Duke. Reminder, he was the head coach at Ole Miss with Eli. He was the offensive coordinator for Peyton down at Tennessee. So those connections to the Mannings are very, very important. I remember seeing something prior to the draft that this was a possibility, but I didn't believe it. I don't think anybody out there really believed it. So to kick off the draft, we had, in the first 6 picks, we had Clelin Ferrell and Daniel Jones. That's not how you really want to start off the draft, especially when the Giants needed edge rusher help as well. And Josh Hines-Allen made it past another team who needed an edge rusher. In 7th overall, the Jaguars were sitting right there and just said, okay, we'll take him. We'll take him. If you guys don't want him, we'll take him. We'll oblige you on this one. And then finally, or not finally, but 7th overall pick, we have the likes of J.C. Latham, Tyree Wilson, Evan Neal, Penei Sewell, Derek Brown, Josh Hines-Allen, who we brought up before, Josh Allen, Mike Williams, DeForest Buckner, and Kevin White. And I'm going to be honest with you, this might be the easiest one out of all of them. Josh Allen is the number 1 for 7th overall picks, the greatest 7th overall pick in the past decade, maybe the greatest 7th overall pick of all time. My memory could be wrong here, but hey, but it goes without saying. MVP, All Pros, Like, it's just Josh Allen, top 2 quarterback in the league. Like, he's just the guy. He's Josh Allen. And the worst one's Kevin White. And I hate saying that because I feel bad for Kevin White. It's kind of one of those things where, like, you see him not doing anything, and you kind of just feel bad for, like, saying that he's the worst 7th overall pick of all time. But you kind of have to. It'd be wrong not to, but it feels wrong saying that he is, if that makes any sense. I don't want to elaborate on it because I feel bad enough, so you guys could look up that one, but injuries just absolutely dismantled his career. His career high in receiving yards was the New Orleans Saints like 2 years ago. I don't think he's on a team anymore. Like, I feel bad. He's never appeared more than 7 games in a season. Like, it's just rough. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I feel dirty for saying Kevin White's the worst 7th overall pick of all time, but that's where the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. Moving swiftly on to the 8th overall picks, we have the likes of Michael Penix Jr., we have Bijan Robinson, Drake London, 3 straight Atlanta Falcons players. Then we have J.C. Horn, Isaiah Simmons, T.J. Hawkinson, Roquan Smith, Christian McCaffrey, Jack Conklin, and Vic Beasley. As good as the likes of T.J. Hawkinson are, and Bijan Robinson and all those guys, it's Christian McCaffrey. I mean, NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 1,000 yard with the Carolina Panthers, 1,000-yard rushing, 1,000-yard receiving, one of 3 players in NFL history, along with Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk, to do so. Injuries hurt. Injuries are not a great thing, but when Christian McCaffrey is fully fit and fully firing, he's the best running back in football. Sue me. He just is. He just is. And the worst one on here, like Vic Beasley had one really good season with the Falcons. There's a lot of Falcons here with the 8th overall pick. But the worst pick on here is Isaiah Simmons. And I liked Isaiah Simmons coming out of Clemson. But the problem with him was nobody knew where he was going to play. Like, he played corner, he played safety, he played linebacker. Like, he was a Swiss Army knife. He was the jack of all trades, master of none type player. And the Cardinals never figured out where to put him. They traded him for a 7th round pick to the New York Giants. A 7th, 2 years or 3 years into his career, gets traded for a 7th round pick. This is a guy who's drafted 8th overall in 2020, and getting traded for a 7th rounder is not necessarily ideal. But man, he ran a 4.39 at the combine, and that guy, everybody hyped up for him. Like, a lot of people are considering one of the best overall players in the draft, but again, the jack of all trades, master of none thing, getting traded for a 7th overall pick. He's without a team, or 7th round pick, not a 7th overall pick, and he's currently without a team. So unfortunately, he just falls right into this category as the worst 8th overall pick. 9th overall pick, we got the likes of Rome Odunze, we have Jalen Carter, Charles Cross, Patrick Surtain, CJ Henderson, Ed Oliver, Mike McGlinchey, John Ross, Leonard Floyd, and Eric Flowers. Jalen Carter could very well hold this spot down in a few years' time, but right now, the number 1 overall pick, or number 1 guy here, is Patrick Surtain, the reigning defensive player of the year in the NFL, was widely considered to be the best overall corner in that draft class, and got taken 1 spot after J.C. Horn. But J.C. Horn, who's been a good player in the NFL, just hasn't been the same level of Pat Surtain throughout his time in the league so far. Like, along with the Defensive Player of the Year award, he's also got 2 first-team All-Pro selections, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, led the league with 132-yard interception return yards this past season, has 11 career interceptions. The worst one, I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, is John Ross. John Ross was not a top 10 pick prior to the combine. And then he goes out and runs a 4.22, breaks Chris Johnson's 40-yard dash record, and all of a sudden, now we're talking about him being the 9th overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals. And he never did anything in Cincinnati. And I mean, he didn't do anything. Like, in his rookie season, he just played 3 games. So much so, Marvin Lewis was criticized for how they were utilizing and how he was treating John Ross throughout his rookie season. It couldn't really have been a rougher spot. And I understand what the Bengals were trying to do, add some speed to the outside. You can understand that. But again, he wasn't a top 10 player going into the combine. And then after the combine, now we're considering to be a top 10 pick of the draft. It was a shocking pick at the time. It's still a shocking pick now. Like, you look at, again, his rookie season, 3 games, 0 receiving yards and 12 rushing yards. That's not great. That's not going to move the needle here. And then 2019 was his best season, and he had just over 500 receiving yards that year. But it's just, John Ross was not a good player throughout his time in the league, and he comes in as the worst 9th overall pick in the last decade. And the final one, you know what? I lied. I think this one might be the easiest out of all the picks. Yes, the 7th overall pick was one thing, but this one's more satisfying, I would say, than the 7th overall pick. But the top 10, the number 10 overall picks that we have available right here, we have the likes of J.J. McCarthy, who was taken last year. We have Darnell Wright from the Chicago Bears. We have Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Jedrick Wills, Devin Bush, Josh Rosen, Patrick Mahomes, Eli Apple, Todd Gurley. Patrick Mahomes the best. Josh Rosen's the worst. I know Eli Apple really tried that, but from Josh Rosen's, I'm not going to talk about Mahomes. We know Mahomes. I don't need to bore you with that whole spiel. But Josh Rosen at the draft said there were 9 mistakes taken in front of him. How many Super Bowls does Tom Brady have? Well, I'm going to win 1 more. He talked about he didn't need football. And to go 10th overall, and he's like, the Cardinals traded up for him. They traded up from 15 to 10, and after 1 year, they shipped his ass to Miami and drafted Kyler Murray. Like, you could say that was right, wrong, or otherwise were how they treated Josh Rosen in Arizona, but after the draft comments and stuff like that, karma. Like, look at his Twitter profile picture right now, or his Twitter profile right now. It's like the Cardinals draft, I think his headers with the Dolphins, and then his bio says like quarterback of the Cleveland Browns or something like that. That out of all these picks in this list, he might go down as the worst player for the hype going in out of everybody here. And what's so crazy is that how different could the NFL landscape be if the Bills drafted the guy that everybody said was the second best quarterback in the draft behind Sam Darnold at 7th rather than drafting Josh Allen? What would have happened if that took place? I don't even want to entertain that idea. So we're going to end the video right here. So that is the best and worst players taken with each of the top 10 selections over the past decade. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, something a little different. We're getting closer to the draft time, so I want to have some fun videos in here. You could disagree with every single player I said. You could agree with every player I said. Just let me know down in the description below, or down in the comments below, on how you felt about it. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well so you don't miss any other Logan Blackman Show videos leading up to the draft. We'll obviously talk about the United States stuff down the line as well. But yeah, make sure to check out all the links down in the description below. I've been Logan Blackman. I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, I sincerely apologize. I'll try to be better next time. And I will see you guys later. Peace.